This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
No cow. This aura is expensive. My size. Most people can afford it. Are you for it? For it? No class. Don't be late for your appointment. Be fast, or I could be your biggest disappointment. Disappointment, you know what?
LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Yeah, you know that. Even on a Monday, it doesn't matter who it is because sometimes I don't even show up on a Monday. Anyways, how are you? Today is Monday, April the 17th of 2023, day 107th of the year. Yes, that is for sure. And only 258 days left to go. Yeah, 258 is the way that it sounds. Anyways, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting? I'm glad that you're here because if you weren't here, then you would be there and we wouldn't be interacting in some way, shape, or form. So that's for sure. So a lot of things going on inside of the world, though, as we are doing our thing. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
So some infiltration with Radio Big, because what else would you do? I mean, why would you not be infiltrated if that was not the case? That is for sure, as we are hanging and banging and doing all the fun stuff. So let's talk real quick. Little things, little events, big events, small events, and all that kind of fun stuff. Are you finally going back to events? Seems like some electrical companies over the weekend had some pretty big safety events going on and some people talking about safety in general, which is always kind of a fun stuff to take a look at. Anyway, so I don't know. Are you going to events? I mean, I feel like I'm finally going out and doing things again, which after a long period of time, it seemed like I was never going to go back out on the road. But boy, did that change over the last the last little bit. So I kind of feel like my months keep on getting busier and busier and busier. And that's just kind of the way that it goes. So I figured we would hang out, talk about that. Yeah, because look, I'm looking at my calendar and I'm just going, wow. It seems like we spend more time on the road now than what we do anything else. So, of course, what does that mean? Well, it kind of limits me some of the stuff that I can do with the show. Just depending. And some people like the video aspect of this thing, you know, and that which kind of makes the difficult side. Because if I'm on the road just doing the norm, the video thing's not that important to me, but some people like that. I don't know why, but there you go. Anyways, if you want to watch the video, you can watch it on all the different social media platforms that are available out there. But we normally hang out on radiobig.fm, and we also hang out on safetyfm.com. You can click on the side that says visual radio. And then if you want to interact with the show, it's real simple. You click on callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. Once you go there, boom, video messaging, audio messaging, and text messaging. And believe me, I am a reader of the text messages more than anything else. So there you go. Anyways, let's get into the show real quick. In regards of what the hell's going on, let's talk about what is trending.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Yeah, a lot of stuff trending over the weekend, so we'll talk about some of the things that are going on. Keep in mind that this hour that is video processed and video shown and all that shit, that's available for the first hour. Hour 2 and 3, not so much video friendly, as I like to lay back and listen to music in the chair here, and nobody wants to see that. So let's talk about what the hell was on tap. A Spanish woman emerges from a cave after 500 days. So we'll talk about that. And Mimu, the emu, takes Tennessee police officers on a wild chase. We'll talk about that as we get into the shit list. Also, the check-in on historical polling of the incumbents heading to re-election and a preview of the upcoming summer showdown over the debt ceiling. We can talk about that as we get a little swampy-ompy today. And Kathy Griffin has a complex PTSD, and Matt Damon is a filthy roommate. I don't know how that's important. And another spin-off of the Big Bang Theory is in the works, and Baywatch is getting a reboot. Didn't it get a movie reboot? Nobody seemed really to care, and not even The Rock could save that thing. And listen, I like me The Rock. Don't get me wrong here. But, I mean, I thought that many people didn't go out even to see that. And that's The Rock, like Dwayne Johnson, that kind of stuff. So just some things to think about. So if you're not familiar with the show, it's real simple. We're safety in the news and safety. We talk about all the things that most people won't talk about. Some people always ask, well, why the news aspect of it? Well, the news aspect of it's kind of a simple process. The reason why we do the news is for that way you have something topical to speak about. And then we tie in some kind of safety stuff that's always going in and about. And listen, if you listen to the news, there's a lot of safety that goes on in there anyways. Like, seriously. So think about some of that as we are hanging out on this lovely Monday and doing all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, let's bring in some professional broadcasters that they can tell you what the hell is going on inside of the world of the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Tammy Trujillo. President Biden is weighing in after a weekend of bloodshed with 2 more mass shootings. In a statement Sunday, he called gun violence outrageous and unacceptable, while slamming Republican lawmakers for not acting on the issue. A shooting at a teen's birthday party in Alabama left at least 4 dead and more than a dozen people injured on Saturday night. That was also when 2 people died and at least 4 were injured following a shooting at a park in Kentucky. Biden says Americans want common sense gun safety reforms. 7 people, including a child, are dead after gunmen stormed a Mexican resort on Saturday. Deanna Kodiak has more.
A 7-year-old, 3 men and 3 women were killed in a region of central Mexico where drug cartel violence is becoming more and more common. Videos shared on the internet showed shocked adults and children walking past dead bodies piled up near a swimming pool. The attack happened in Cortázar, a city about 185 miles northwest of Mexico City.
That's Deanna Kodiak reporting. Fox News is formally apologizing to the judge in Dominion Voting System's $1.6 billion defamation suit. On Friday, Fox took responsibility for what it called a misunderstanding regarding Chairman Rupert Murdoch's role at the network. Lawyers initially reported Murdoch didn't have an official title, but last week revealed he was an executive officer at Fox News. The judge is now launching a third-party investigation into the network's potential lies in court. Opinions are mixed over a new interactive app that reportedly allows mourners to talk to the dead. Hereafter, AI creates digital replicas of the voice and personalities of deceased loved ones. Orthodox Catholic philosopher Joe Vukov says having a way to keep people around who we've lost is well-intentioned, but he also cautioned that people are more than just this abstract intelligence. The quest for Lord Stanley's Cup begins tonight. A pair of games from each conference officially kicks off round 1 in the best-of-7 series format. You're listening to The Latest. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Clashes have continued in Sudan between rival armed groups. Top diplomats from G7 countries are agreeing to take a unified approach to growing military assertiveness from China in the Taiwan Strait. Several people have died in a heatwave in India, and the UK government says it won't go back into pay talks with nursing unions unless planned strikes are called off.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety
Senator
Show.
Amy Klobuchar says judges with no medical background should not be making rulings on medications. Speaking on ABC's This Week, the Minnesota Democrat says it's unbelievable that this can happen.
You've got it safe in 60 countries. It's used in over half of the abortions. One judge from Amarillo, Texas, 2 judges on the Fifth Circuit, all of them Trump appointed, should not be making a decision for women across the country.
Klobuchar added there's a reason that Congress gave the FDA the power to make these decisions about safety. Alec Baldwin is asking that the lawsuit brought by family members of the Rust cinematographer who was killed on set be dropped. Baldwin called the lawsuit misguided in a court filing, saying marriage is required for the claims to be made under California law, and Helena Hutchins was not married to any of the plaintiffs. Hutchins was killed in October of 2021 on the set of the film after Baldwin fired a prop gun that contained live ammo during the rehearsal for a scene. SpaceX is looking to launch its giant Starship rocket this morning. The private space company says the uncrewed launch of the world's biggest rocket will be the first flight test of what SpaceX calls a fully integrated Starship spacecraft and the so-called Super Heavy rocket. The Starship spacecraft is expected to splash down near Hawaii after orbiting the Earth. The IRS is holding off on tax reporting changes for third-party payment services and e-commerce companies. TurboTax expert Lisa Green-Lewis says third-party platforms like PayPal, Venmo, and eBay can issue tax forms if someone makes more than 200 transactions worth a total of $20,000.
And it's not a tax law change, though. That's one thing to point out. Like, you're supposed to claim your income anyway. Well, especially if you're self-employed.
That will change drastically next year. The platforms will have to issue 1099-K tax forms to people whose business transactions through the platform exceed $600. Tammy Trujillo, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobile.io. That's mobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you going to do? You're going to go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this fantastic Monday. So there is no doubt about that as we are talking. So let's get into some of the stuff that is going on according to the shit list, because that is always importante as we are doing it. A 50-year-old Spanish climber and extreme sport athlete named Beatrix Flamini has resurfaced after spending the last 500 days in a cave in southern Spain. Flamini voluntarily entered the cave in November of 2021 as part of an experiment called Time Cave, which aimed to examine how a human would handle living underground for a long stretch of time. While she was down there, a team of psychologists, researchers of speech, a speleologist, monitored her through her and then they never made contact. As of how Flamini passed the time, she exercised, read books, drew, painted, and took up knitting. The team behind the Time Cave think that Flamini may have set a world record of surviving the longest time underground. This has yet to be confirmed by the Guinness World Book of Records or whatever the hell. So let me ask you this, because I want to know. I want to have a better understanding of course. So if this person was down there for X amount of time, how did they eat? And if nobody was in contact with them for 500 days, I mean, I just don't have a firm belief that this lady walked down there with 500 days worth of food. Or if not, she had a shitload of MREs. I mean, what the hell? I mean, I just don't understand on how that worked. And if somebody could explain it to me, it would be much appreciated. There is no doubt.
More sarcasm than Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Yes, Mimu, the emu led police officers in Tennessee on a wild chase last week. According to the owner, Henry McKinley, the large bird hopped over a 7-foot fence of his enclosure and took off down the street. After I'm trying to track him down to no avail, McKinney decided to post about it on the escape on Facebook and contacted the local PD. Several officers soon spotted the bird and followed behind him to avoid the animal and the residents from being harmed. At one point, officers clocked Mimu going about 40 miles per hour. Eventually, the bird was wrangled up between McKinney's farm through it, and it didn't last long. Less than 24 hours later, Mimu once again hopped the fence and took off down the road. This time, the chase only lasted about an hour after he was safely taken back home. McKinley said that he got to work raising the fence to 9 feet. So, I mean, I just think that that's going to make him a 2-foot better jumper in the long run. Mimu, the emu, I mean, there you go. That's something. Anyways, the criminal justice system in New York City has grown so lax in 2022 that only 327 people were responsible for one third of all of shoplifting arrests. In total, the cohort was arrested and rearrested 6,000 times. Some back of the napkin math says that each of these people were arrested 18 times on average, which works out to about once every 3 weeks. This is via New York Times. So what do you think about this? 6,000 shoplifting incidents, 327 people. And I mean, and that's taking some guesstimates there. And going with some crazo matho and getting that to work. So there you go. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about it? So, just something to think about. Anyways, meanwhile, in Mississippi, a man was arrested during a traffic stop on Friday after attempting to hide a gun inside of his quesadilla from Taco Bell. How big is this quesadilla, or how small is the gun? The move, which was witnessed by officers, prompted the vehicle search. During the search, they found methamphetamines, liquid heroin, and drug paraphernalia, and of course, the gun. Yeah, the gun. So that makes it interesting. Also, the first Chevrolet Corvette E-Ray sold at auction in Florida over the weekend for $1.1 million, more than 10 times the asking price of $104,295. The winning bid came from NASCAR team owner and car dealer Rick Hendrick. The E-Ray can accelerate to 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds. And a cover of a quarter mile. Cover a quarter mile in 10.5 seconds, making it the quickest Corvette and General Motors vehicle ever made. All proceeds from the auction will benefit the Donor's Choice charity, which helps buy school supplies and project materials for public schools. So let's think about that real quick. $1.1 million. And the person is donating it to charity. It'll be interesting to see exactly how that comes about, because those things always intrigue me in that particular regards and how it goes. So we'll take a look together. Anyways, the 127th running of the Boston Marathon takes place today. Over the weekend, families of those that were killed in Boston Marathon bombing marked the 10th year anniversary by laying refs and near the finish line. I mean, I don't know. Some stuff to think about for sure. I don't know how I feel about that. And it's not about my feelings, but it's just something to kind of make you think about some of the stuff that happened. That's for sure. It's kind of an interesting time. What do you think about the Boston Marathon? Do you watch to see what the hell happens, or have you ever partaken in it or anything along those lines? Just a question, of course. Anyways, let's get charty-arty because it is Monday, so let's talk about what the hell happened with movies over the weekend. At number 10 was Sweetwater with $350,000. At number 9 was Nefarious with $1.3 million. At number 8 was Scream 6 with $1.4 million. At number 7 was Mafia Mama. Yeah, Mafia Mama with $2 million. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves was at $7.3 million. Air with $7.7 million. Renfield, $7.8 million. At number 3 was John Wick Chapter 4 with $7.9 million. At number 2, it was The Pope's Exorcist with $9.1 million. And staying at number 1 for the second week in a row, the Super Mario Brothers movie with $87 million. I don't know. I've been kind of hesitant about going to see it because it's a cartoon. But it seems to be doing extremely well. So I just kind of makes me wonder on how that goes. Anyways, take a listen to this. Coming out of the swamp on April the 15th, 2019, former President Donald Trump approvals rating sat at 42%. At the same point into his presidency on April the 15th, 2023, Joe Biden's approval rating sits at 43%. Politico reports that this doesn't bode well for Biden's re-election chances. Biden isn't just struggling with independents and near unanimous disapproval among Republicans. He is also soft among the Democrats and left-leaning Democratic groups. And a weakness suggested a diminishing enthusiasm for his candidacy. So there you go. And Biden's old boss, Barack Obama, had a similar approval rating, and he walked away with the re-election back in 2022. a lot can happen over the next 18 months regardless. So something to think about as we are talking. So take a listen to this. House Republicans are working on a bill that would raise the debt ceiling, but only for the corresponding $4 trillion in spending cuts over the next decade. The Republicans want public benefit programs to return to pre-COVID spending levels and re-implement the work requirements of people under 60 who have no dependents to receive Medicare. In other words, under the framework, if you were able to have a job and don't have anyone that you're responsible for, you at least have to work in order to get public benefits. This is via CNN, just in case. The Biden White House also said that they're not willing to negotiate and the House needs to just get in line. Speaker Kevin McCarthy has had a similar attitude. So there you go. Some interesting stuff, as always, as we talk about the world of the swamp. That's why we don't like getting swampy, because it's just swamp, swamp, swamp. That's what it sounds like. You know what I like talking about, though? I like talking about money. And so does my friend John Smalls. Take a listen.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, April 17th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets rose last week, but bank earnings capped the gains. The banks reported better than expected top and bottom line results due to the rise of interest rates. The news is good for them because they make money when rates are high or low. The bad news is the rest of the economy is paying more for credit and loans, which impacts demand. The inflation data helped lift the market last week, but that lift may be short-lived. Oil prices are rising and will underpin another acceleration of inflation, if not capped soon. Based on the IEA's demand outlook and OPEC production cuts, oil prices will likely move higher in 2023. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information right there of what is going on inside of the world of the market. Let me tell you a little bit of what I found. The Dow lost about 143 points to close at 33,866. And the S&P dropped about 8 points to close at 4,137, as the NASDAQ slid 42 points to close at 12,123. West Texas Intermediate closed at $82 a barrel, and Brent crude closed at $86 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.66 on Sunday. Bitcoin was mostly flat over the weekend, but up just a couple of bucks, trading just at $30,300. There was more than 5,300 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, with about 400 cancellations. And there was a winning ticket on Friday for the Mega Million drawings that sold at the convenience stores in Queens, New York. The winner has the choice of a $476 million jackpot or a $253.1 million cash payout. Tuesday night's drawing will be for $20 million jackpot or a $10.6 million cash payout. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $235 million jackpot or a $125.3 million cash payout. So I guess if you're interested in playing the game, you have the opportunity of doing so. Take a listen to this. When you're sick, do you hit up the internet for a quick diagnosis? Bree Tennis has the results from a study that says you probably do.
The study was conducted by One Poll for Bayer, the aspirin people. They say 40% of Americans hit up the internet to diagnose medical problems, but it turns out Dr. Google, or any other search engine you're using, is wrong. A lot. Harvard's software algorithms say the internet is accurate with the correct diagnosis only about 34% of the time, and that's good to know because the average person self-diagnosed about 4 times last year instead of visiting their doctor. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
So self-diagnosis is not the way to go anymore? Oh, I guess that changed a little bit in comparison to how people normally do stuff. What do you think about it? A lot of things, right? Don't you think?
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, an investigation is underway following a deadly police shooting over the weekend in Chicago. Authorities say that an officer shot Reynold Clay Jr. after he pulled a gun during a foot chase on Saturday morning on the west side.
Officers then began their pursuit of that individual, and at the same time that individual turned towards the officer, brandished the handgun, and the officer discharged their weapon.
Clay died later in the hospital. His father claims that his son was on his way to a funeral when he was shot. So there you go. Interesting stuff coming out of there. Take a listen to this. Democrats and Republican state lawmakers are working together to fix the noise issue along Interstate 75 in Troy, Michigan. Democratic Representative Sharon McDonald, Republican Representative Thomas Cogg, and Republican Senator Michael Weber are working together to get money for at least those two areas.
The rest of it, we're just going to have to see if there are other options, if there are other ways we can get them some peace of mind.
Michigan Department of Transportation says that a study in the 6 sections found that too quality of soundproofing walls and say that they don't have the money for it. McDonald says that along I-75 is dealing with noise that is now getting into their homes and a solution is needed. Democratic Representative Shannon McDowell is working with two lawmakers, but both of them Republicans, to find a noise solution for I-75 in Troy.
People who had a little bit of highway noise a few years ago now have it not only seeping into their backyards throughout their neighborhoods or making them have to go in their own backyards and yell to communicate with each other. It's getting in their houses.
Hold on, you have to go to your backyard to yell at people to be able to communicate with people? That's kind of a weird one. I don't think I've ever heard of that one before, but there you go. I guess that's some things to think about. Anyways, let's talk about this real quick. Pothole Palooza is kicking off in Miami-Dade, where residents are being encouraged to report potholes plaguing their communities. Commissioner Daniel Cohen-Higgins says her district, which includes Palmetto and Cutler Bays from north of Homestead, has a disappropriately higher number of potholes compared to the rest of the county.
We have a lot of roadways in District 8 that either need full resurfacing and milling done or potholes that need to be replaced. So we receive a lot of constituent calls.
Since January, Public Works Department has replaced 440 potholes in the district. 8 potholes are just a nuisance. They can be dangerous, causing vehicles to lose control. The commissioner says that they can't fix the potholes if they don't know about them.
We're trying to encourage as much reporting as possible. Don't just drive over the pothole. Let us know that it's there.
Higgins says that the program runs from now until June the 15th.
We have crews on hand dedicated to the south for the next couple of months to try and get as many of these potholes filled as possible.
I mean, think about that. If every community came up with some kind of program where all of a sudden you can report the potholes in your area, I think some people would be excited about that. Exactly, going on and saying, hey, I think we can do something a little bit better now because we had Pothole Palooza going on in our area. Anyways, it is 32 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's start talking about this because, that's what we do now. We talk about main stories right around this time.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
I have to come in here and we have to start talking about some things because, what else would we do? It'd be kind of weird if I was just staring at the microphone or staring at the camera and nothing was going on. It would probably look something similar to this or sound something similar to this. Yeah, I'm always told not to do the dead air thing, but hey, there you go. So let's talk about this. I'm always amazed with some of the things that happen inside of our little multiverse of things. And I can't believe that this far into the career, this far into doing things, people still think that whole aspect of being a dick is the way to get things done. Now, I can give you some perfectly good examples in regards of that. And what has mesmerized me over the last little bit is taking a listen to how people decide to communicate with their team members. Sometimes we can even go as far as calling them employees because, it doesn't seem that they consider them a team member. So I was hanging out in a location. Matter of fact, I was hanging out in a location last week. And I'm taking a listen around to what's going on. And all of a sudden, this guy sees me and he starts talking to his employee and starts talking about how the employee has just screwed up. And as he was fixing one of the vehicles, because it was a transportation place, as he was fixing one of the vehicles, he left the tire loose on the vehicle. Now, the funny part here, and I will say that it's funny, he decided to chew the guy out in Spanish because when he looked at me, I looked like the white guy from town, not realizing that I am fluent in Spanish. And the guy, all of a sudden, when I responded in Spanish, as that would probably not be the best thing to be doing when other people are around, kind of freaked out. And it wasn't so much for me to give him the aha moment that I was able to speak Spanish. It is the way that you approach people in regards of trying to communicate what is going on. Now, listen, was it a screw up from the team member employee of leaving the tire loose? Absolutely. There was a mess up that took place. Was there a check and balance system inside of there? It sounded like there was, based on what the we'll say the manager was saying, because on how they were supposed to test it after you had to do anything with rotation of tires. Now, the funny part is the checks and balance was not taken a look at. But even with that taking place, how do you correspond with people that are on your same team? And I know that we talk about how management response matters. And sometimes I know that that could become the emotional side of what you and I do. That could become the whole aspect of, oh my, what is going to happen? And listen, there are moments in time that how we respond to people is not the best way of doing so. I always hate when we have that whole fake thing that people like to do, where they pretend like, no, everything is perfect. Not sometimes, but all the time. And you and I both know that that's hogwash. That's not how things work. There are times in life that stress gets on people and people are freaking out about what's going on and they take it out on the wrong people. They shouldn't be taking it out on people in general, but we take it out on the wrong people. And that's stuff that we need to learn how to work on, because we cannot have the best of people by the way that we respond incorrectly to them. I mean, think about it. There might be arguments that you can think about till this day that occurred in your past, and you cannot probably remember what the argument was about, but you can remember how you felt during the argument. Think about that for a moment. The example that I love giving to people was I like for people to sit back for a moment and think about the last time that they had an argument with their significant other and they jumped in their car and started driving. And the question becomes, as you were driving, thinking about this argument, do you remember how good you were driving? How bad you were driving? If you were speeding, were you paying attention? And the answer most of the time is no. Because we tend to focus on what was going on in our mind because of the argument with the significant other. Now, if you think about those things and put them into perspective on how important living in the moment is. And yes, stress does occur, and we all are humans, and we're all going to screw up at some point. Don't get me wrong. But it's really on how we approach people that we can actually get a better outcome for what we're looking for. Because if somebody treats you bad, you're probably not going to interact the best of ways on the way back. I mean, just kind of the way that it goes, because we're only human. Stuff to think about today. So how would you like the interaction to be the next time? Can you sit back for a moment and before you respond, really take a look at what's going on around you? Or are you just ready to jump in and go? Maybe that is just something to think about today.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the law site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma,
Georgia, and South Carolina.
For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you going to do? You're going to go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
No class. Don't be late for your appointment. Be fast, or I could be your biggest disappointment. Disappointment, you don't want.
Safety show, hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. Yeah, this little song right here is called Imposter. Yeah, this is by May. Available on Apple Music, YouTube Music, and of course Spotify.
Size is cold, will you?
You know, when I hear the song Imposter, I think about all these people that I see post stuff about, hey, listen to my award-winning podcast that's about to win an award that you have to nominate yourself and pay for. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that people release that year over year. One guy screwed up so bad last year that he even put when you actually clicked on it, it even took you to where you had to pay your money to be able to be put onto it. It's kind of funny. It's just funny. Yep, I have an award-winning podcast that hasn't won a damn thing. I'm perfectly fine with it. What a disappointment. Anyways, download some May if you can. You know, imposters. There you go. Some fun stuff. I don't know. I'm still so weirded out about why would you want to buy yourself an award and then tell everybody on how you have this great award that you bought for yourself. Hey, I bought this great award.
So sweet.
But there you go. I guess that's just part of life. You know, love me. I know. You know, some people. Anyway, so let's start talking about it. Let's talk about some of the things that are important to us, important to me, possibly and even important to you. And that's about my friends at 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and your loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, you can go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org. Or you can text the word TALK to 988, or just call 988. Yeah, I mean, those are the options that are there. There's so many different options to get that number that I never know which ones to say because I feel like they're also important. But 988lifeline.org even has a chat box on it if you want to go that angle. So that gives you some other options in regards of doing so. So there you go. Some things to think about as we are talking. So there you go. Anyway, so let's start talking about some other things. Let's start talking about going deep on cleaning, that is. What were you thinking? Here we are deep in the heart of spring cleaning season for some anyways. What would you say is the longest stretch that you've gone without cleaning your home? A poll of 2,000 Americans found that while half claimed that the longest they've gone without ever house cleaning is just 1 month, which was 52% of people. 1 in 10 admitted they've gone 6 months. It was found that the average, it takes about 2 hours to do a light cleaning at home and about 5 hours to do a deep cleaning. That includes chores like cleaning large appliances and washing windows, and that can take up to 40%, said the deep cleaning twice a year or less. Some tips survey respondents say that they share to make cleaning easier by do one room at a time, then move on. Have a cleaning scheduled for a specific thing that cleans daily, and do the hardest job first, and then it seems to get easier. I find it easier just to move. Yeah, just to move. 6 months, they said. You should be ashamed of yourself, you amateurs. Should probably be longer. Or you could just do that other thing. Get a cleaning service.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Have you ever went someplace where it smelled straight like fish? No, seriously. Like you walk in there and it's like the rotting smell of fish. Well, take a listen to this. A Russian fish salad known as Indrika salad was recently voted the worst dish in the world by readers of the online food guide Taste Atlas. Indrika salad originated in Yucatua, which is known as the coldest uninhabited region in the world. It's a simple dish considered as diced white fish combined with onions and seasoned with oil, salt, and pepper. So what's so bad about it? Well, Indrika fish salad is not only raw, but frozen solid, which is expected to be from a dish born in the region where temperatures routinely are about 94 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. It's usually served as an appetizer accompanied by lemon wedges and a shot of vodka. Yeah, lots and lots of shots of vodka. The great thing about living there is that you can buy Indica at Summer Market, and then stuff is still frozen. So there you go. You can have it all year round. I don't know. I mean, I will tell you. Recently, I had an experience where I had like the dead smell of fish, and I wanted nothing to do with it because it was awful. Yeah, it was awful. I thought I was gonna vomit. It was so strong. So I can't even imagine, even with the frozen fish, it might be one of those things that I might freak out in regards of it. But there you go. That's just me. You do you. Anyways, take a listen to this. The IRS holds off on tax reporting changes for payment service. So the IRS is holding off on tax reporting changes for third-party payment services and e-commerce companies. Natalie Migliori has more info.
TurboTax expert Lisa Green-Lewis says third-party platforms like PayPal, Venmo, and eBay can issue tax forms if someone makes more than 200 transactions worth a total of $20,000. That'll change drastically next year.
And it's not a tax law change, though. That's one thing to point out. Like, you're supposed to claim your income anyway. Especially if you're self-employed.
The platforms will have to issue 1099-K tax forms to people whose business transactions through the platforms exceed $600. Hobbyists are not excluded from it. It was supposed to go into effect this filing season, but IRS officials say they delayed the change to make sure taxpayers and professionals understood the new rules. Green-Lewis notes expenses might not always be taxed.
So in that case, you would take what you get in the sale and deduct the cost of it, but you're supposed to claim it.
I'm Natalie Migliori.
Thank you, Natalie Migliori, for the information right there. I don't know. It's going to be interesting next tax season. That's for sure. Over $600, which that's the way it always should be. But a 1099-K, yeah, you might want to take a look at that form. Get a K1 form while you're at it, too. You might really enjoy life then. Anyways, a taxi driver on Long Island was attacked and robbed by his passengers. Take a listen to this.
The driver picked up the 3 suspects in Uniondale early Sunday morning. Nassau County police say during the ride, the passengers began arguing the fare with the driver, who eventually pulled over. One of the suspects then took $100 from the driver, and when the driver confronted them, the other 2 passengers began attacking the man, who fled back to his car to call police. The 3 suspects were found by police a short distance away and were taken into custody. Jonathan O'Halloran, NBC News Radio, New York.
Can you imagine that all of a sudden somebody starts attacking you over a fare? Not an affair. I said a fare, that you're actually taking somebody. That's crazy when you start really giving some consideration to what is going on. Anyways, with that being said, let's see if we can change it up a little bit, and let's get a little bit motivated by bringing some John Smalls in here with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Carrie. Denzel Washington said, "Some people will never like you because your spirit irritates their demons." Wow, think about that quote for a moment. Pretty powerful imagery. I've always liked Denzel. He's an amazing actor. I've liked him in every single movie I've ever seen him in. Even when the character he plays is not a great person, he does such an amazing job of making the character so unlikable that you still have to admire his amazing talent. I'd never heard this quote before Carrie sent it, but it's a great quote. And it also kind of explains a thing or two. I've tried to be kind to some people in the past, and I've got nothing but mean back from them. Maybe this is why. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlysaMorgan.com. The science of hormones is extremely complex, and yet hormones affect absolutely everything that's going on with our bodies. Therefore, it's helpful to remember a few simple tips to reset our hormones for weight, appetite, and body weight set point. First, sleep allows to reset hunger hormones leptin and ghrelin, as well as insulin and cortisol. If you have one night of bad sleep, you will temporarily worsen your insulin levels. Second, adding extra fiber into your meals helps with lowering appetite, insulin, and glucose. Look for functional fiber such as pectin, which also helps with reducing post-meal glucose. And third, increasing magnesium intake to lower inflammation and fat-burning properties of adiponectin. For more tips on wellness, check out alyssamorgan.com.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, agreed. Who really gives a shit on what I have to say? That's for sure. Anyways, currently 54 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are talking. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out, just in case. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not a fan. I'm just going to let you know, but I am a fan of when people are helping out, so I'm going to reference this. But Taylor Swift's concert was in the Tampa Bay area over the weekend. Taylor Swift donated over 125,000 meals to the Tampa Food Bank ahead of the Era's performance in Florida over the weekend. The Feeding Tampa Food Bank thanked the singer on social media for her generous donation, helping Mission End Hunger by 2025. Donating to local food banks has been the theme of Swift as she traveled from city to city for her Eras tour. So there you go. And when I say I'm not a fan, hey, I'm a fan for the greater good. I'm just not a big fan of her music. And I mean, listen, it's not for me. Not all music is for me. I listen to a little bit of everything, but doesn't really do much for me. But hey, I'm glad that some people really got to enjoy her performances. Whatever, you got it. So anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. As I take a look around, let's talk about this one. Back in 2019, 10 babies with Bumbleboy disease cured using the gene therapy at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. The disease has severe combined immune deficiencies, or SCIDs, was made famous by the mid-70s Bumbleboy movie. It was described in the documentary. The condition's a lack of functional immune system strikes fewer than 100 babies a year. So that was back in 2019. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, let me tell you some of those. Joy Sunday turns 28. Abby Kaplan turns 34. Luke Mitchell, 38. Runa Mira, yeah, she turns 38 today. Tyrone Woodley, I can't even speak, turns 41. Victoria Beckham, 49. Jennifer Gardner, 51. Maynard James Keene turns 59. Sean Bean, 64. Dwayne Cassie, 66. And Olivia Hussey turns 72. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you. It's National Kickball Day. It's National Cheese Ball Day. It's International Bat Appreciation Day. Blah, blah, blah Day. International Haoki Poetry Day. World Hemophilia Day. And National Ford Mustang Day. Does that mean you should go out and buy one? I don't know. Maybe if that's the sign you've been looking for, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what you go and do today. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff. Anyways, if you need some whack facts for today, I'm sure I can get you some of those because I always feel like those are important. Post-it notes should be peeled horizontally, not in the upward motion, which usually curls the paper. Jim pranked Dwight 114 times through the U.S. version of The Office. Being called baby has a positive effect on female brain, causing instant emotional stress relief. Being ignored causes the same chemical reaction in the brain as experimenting physical injury. And men and women who listen to similar music tend to be better communicators and have longer lasting relationships. And mosquitoes have killed more humans than all the wars in history. So there you go. If you need a random joke for today, try this. It is so much easier to suggest solutions when you don't know too much about the problem. If you need a phone starter for today, try this one. What did you think would be easy but turned out to be extremely difficult once you attempted it? Here's a question for the water cooler for you. Stats say that this happens about 90% of people at least once in their lifetime. What is it? An automobile accident. So there you go. That's going to sum up our time together. If you want to hang out here, you can do that by staying on Safety FM and taking a listen to Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant Show. If not, you can go over to radiobig.fm and come and hang out with me. We'll do some music for the next couple hours or so. If I can't leave you with a deep thought, I would love to leave you with this. When you make a commitment, you should build hope. When you keep it, you should build trust. Think about that. So there you go. Some things to think about today. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.